football fans are the most repressed by German police. So, like, even more than migrant communities or people of color. So, yeah, like, I think that there is no safety.
Welcome to another episode of the series Sense of a Place. Today we are going to talk about the football stadium with Anton. Anton was born and raised in the south of Germany, and since 2020 he has lived in Romania. As a student in political science, Anton specialized in extremism in sports, more precisely football, fandom, and nationalism. He combines field research with the passion for the sport itself, while connecting academic work with journalistic reporting to produce research that does not treat the matter as a strange object observed from the outside. Hello, Anton. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for the welcoming. Yes.
So, Anton, we want to speak with you about the football stadium. Is it in fact still a thing to go to the stadium? Is it not more comfortable to watch the game on a streaming platform or on TV from your couch, say eating chips?
Um, it is still a thing to go to the football stadium. It's actually very interesting because it is more a thing than it used to be. Like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, less people went to the football stadium. And I think going to the stadium is not a thing of comfort, but more ritual or like something to experience something. It's more entertainment, let's say.
Is it easy to buy tickets?
Yes. It became more easy in the digital era because you can just get them online and download them, and then you have them on the phone. You don't really lose them anymore. You don't have to have them physically. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
Are are they expensive, the tickets?
It depends. In Romania, I would say no. In Romania, they're quite affordable. Varies a bit from team to team, but in England, for example, or in Germany, tickets can be pretty expensive, actually. Yeah.
Do people usually go alone to the stadium?
No, I would not say so. Like, I do not know anyone, or I have never met anyone who goes alone to the stadium. It's normally a place to socialize and to form communities. So, yeah, I would say no.
And talking about the Julie Stadium of Rapid, people also go together there, right, at the football matches.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, it's the same everywhere, I would say. Like, again, like, no one goes alone to football. It would be a bit boring, I guess.
Through what channels do fan base organize in order to go to the stadium then?
It's actually very various. There's a lot of different channels. Like there is like friend groups, obviously, but there is also fan groups and different types of fan groups like ultras, hooligans, but also fan clubs that are more connected to the football club itself. And I would say that generally it's through like channels that are I would describe as communities that are made up of different structures, different values, and different ideas. Yeah.
And are there also meeting points?
Yes. Every different group, I would say, has like a ritualized meeting spot, and usually groups and friends follow a certain similar tradition. I don't know. Yeah.
It is usually that the fans are using traditional routes to move through the neighborhood on the way to the stadium.
Yes, also yes, I would say so. I mean, it depends very much on what groups we look at. I think as a friend group, not so much because you have to find parking and you cannot find park at the same spot all the time, so you walk a different way. But organized fans have their fixed routes, and usually they're also known to the broader community, and they're not like secret, let's say.
And when going to see a match, what usually football fans bring with them?
Also that I think is right. Like there's different answers to that. Like generally, I think the usual fan brings like merchandise, like football merchandise, like a scarf or a shirt or something like this, or you wear colors of the team you support. Um, but ultras, for example, they bring their flags, their drums, like everything that they need to make an atmosphere. But there's also what I would call some sort of like uh, unusual or like just fans that come like every once in a while, like some sort of event fans maybe, who just come to watch football with their kids or like friend groups, and they might not bring anything in particular. Plus, there's pretty strict regulations on what you can take to the stadium. So yeah, like it's comme ci comme ça.
Right, but the items are delivered by the fan organization usually, or they're also personal items?
Both. Again, like when we look into organized fandom, like ultras, hooligans, and fan clubs, there is stuff that is delivered by those communities, like flags, drums, also scarves and T-shirts sometimes. But all of like for the normal fan, let's say the unorganized fan or just friend groups, it's practically only personal items, and oftentimes in groups that are organized, these group items also become personal items over time. Like a shirt that you get from the group might be your personal shirt at some point.
Right, and what about the chants that are shouted inside of a stadium? Who decides on what it should be shouted?
Um, Generally, I would say that the ultras are the ones that decide what is being shouted, and then like the rest of the stadium just joins in, ideally. But there are moments where this doesn't work. So there's also, let's say, counter chanting. And sometimes also you have, like it is right now at Rapid actually, but also with like extremely famous like football clubs like Naples, you have two groups, like two ultra groups that shout different things. So there can be conflict over these chants also.
And who decides on the choreographies?
Choreographies are, I would say, the domain of the ultras. So they are the ones who make them and decide on them. And the average fan, let's say, has no real say in those. They can only give feedback afterwards, like online or talking directly to the groups or whatever. Yeah.
They seem to be very elaborate. Do you practice them beforehand?
I mean, like without saying too much, I think all the groups have usually a plan of the Pelusa, and they look at, or like the stand, and they look at how would it look before a little bit. Like you test, let's say, how it might look, and there's a lot of calculations going on, also how much material you need and whatever. But I wouldn't say they can be practiced. It's a one-off thing, and it has to work. And if it doesn't work, the whole choreography was for nothing, basically. Yeah.
Do football fans meet outside the stadium?
I would say so, yes. Like usually football is the, I don't know, starting point of a friendship. Maybe it's the starting point of a community, but this community can meet outside the stadium also. Like especially in when it's friend groups, anyways. But like especially when it's like community groups, like ultras, hooligans, fan clubs, I would say that they usually also meet outside the stadium. Like it's a very strong community that forms that also expresses itself outside of the stadium.
And do football fans develop relationships beyond football, like say yoga or something, or dance?
Probably not yoga and dancing, but like I know that, for example, some people give each other work. For example, like someone loses a job maybe, and then they look for a new job. So a friend from the group gives a job, and they work together in the same place. But also barbecues, for example, or watching football matches of another team in the TV. Going on holidays together is a big thing. So yeah, like I think it's just like friendships that form, and then you do whatever you like to do with those people.
And what about public manifestations?
That is a bit tricky, I think, because I think usually the football fans have public manifestations around the game day. So, for example, by walking to the stadium or making, like, it's called corteo, where like people walk from one place to the stadium, either their own stadium or the stadium of the opponent. But other than that, I think there's no real like public manifestation of organized fan groups like if we leave out the illegal stuff, let's say like graffitis and stickers and stuff like this, like that is extremely visible, usually in the city of the team.
And what about political manifestations like protests?
That does happen also, but I think it's very connected to what I would call football politics. Like, for example, if the football association decides that fans are not allowed in the stadium anymore for whatever reason, there might be political protests based on this, or if there's a new law that criminalizes football fan support. I think also there the football community reacts in a political way, but I think it's extremely contextual. Like there's also spaces where the football fans are not interested in political manifestations in outside of the stadium. Inside the stadium, usually you have a lot of politics because of racism, sexism, homophobia, but also positive stuff. Let's say if there's in like austerity measures, maybe some team might voice discontent towards that, or when there's elections and stuff like this. Like I would say that the stadium can serve as a messenger also.
Police and football fans groups seem to have a special bond. Wherever there is a group of fans, there is police too. Do you think this love-hate relationship ever has a climax?
Yes, but I don't think it's a love-hate relationship. Actually, I think it's more like a hate-hate relationship because I wouldn't say that football fans like the police at all, especially not organized fans. But this climax, I think, is usually around like derbies or extremely heated football matches where the police prepares for violence. And then oftentimes I would say the police is actually the community or like the group where the violence is originating from. Like even if the football fans are peaceful, the police might escalate the situation by arbitrarily searching the football fans or being aggressive with them or something. So I think the climax is usually around extremely heated football matches, like, I don't know, Dynamo against Rapid or something like this.
And when the beatings start, is there a safe word between fans and police?
No, like I think if there is a conflict, there is no safe words. Like there is all the time like things happening, and the police is willing to do whatever is needed to force their control on the like football fans. So I do not think that there's any kind of, let's say, safety net or whatever. Like I think the brutality used by the police to control football fans is unparalleled to what we see, for example, with political protesters. Like there was actually a study made a few years ago in Germany about this that showed that football fans are the most repressed by German police. So like even more than migrant communities or people of color. So yeah, like I think that there is no safety, let's say.
How does the life changes for a resident living next to a stadium?
I think it changes in so far that there is definitely like moments of noise, like light pollution, sound pollution, that this person has to get used to, like especially around match day. But also generally, I think there's a lot of acts happening around the football stadium also throughout the week. Usually football stadiums have the fan shop there or something like this. So people go and buy stuff there. You will see more graffiti, more stickers. So I think this person is very integrated, let's say, into, I don't know, like a social web that makes itself around the football stadium. But at the same time, I think it does not significantly change how the life works of this person. It's more like a visual and like passive social experience, maybe.
But does a stadium usually impact the rental prices in the surrounding area?
I don't know, actually. That would be very interesting to look at precisely. I think I would say no, because like my gut feeling would be actually that it might lower the price of the rental that you have, or like the house or apartment, because of the noise, because of the pollution around match day. Um, Especially because it's not foreseeable, or let's say not expectable, that everyone is a football fan. So if you're not a football fan living next to a football stadium, it could be very annoying. And we know that things have changed around football stadiums due to the annoyances that neighbors have. For example, right now, basically all over Europe, it's not allowed anymore to build very high lights at the stadium, because neighbors usually complain that those lights are extremely bright and people can't sleep. So new ways have been found to put light on the pitch. And yeah, so I think that I, yeah, that the rental price is not going up because of the stadium.
And what happens in a stadium when there are no matches?
Um, it depends. Like, there's two types of stadiums. One is like the pure football stadium, where usually nothing happens if there's not a game. Like, there's only maintenance work. You might have the fan shop or something, or some stadiums have integrated, like the one in Ciulești, have integrated offices, or have underground training facilities and stuff like this. So that can be a part. But if you have stadiums like the one of like classic Olympic stadiums, let's say, that have like running track and fields space around it, like a bit like in Stefan cel Mare. You usually have people training there during the week. You might have track and fields and athleticism competitions and stuff like this. So yeah, like I think the way the stadium is built is also dictating what happens there during a week.
How many people work in a stadium?
Um, that is also depending on the size and depending on how the stadium is built. I think it's extremely difficult to give an estimate, but like I think it's important to understand that usually the stadium is a big place for a lot of different jobs, from security services to people who at the match sell food and drinks, to people who bring the balls in case the shot on the goal is going anywhere, to advertising, marketing in general, to taking care of the pitch, taking care of the facility with cleaning and whatever. So I think these numbers are, depending on the size, in the hundreds and thousands, like depending on how big the stadium is. I mean, there are stadiums with 80,000 seats and stadiums with 10,000 seats, and this variety, I think, is reflected in how many people work there. So
And who is the employer of all these people?
usually third-party companies. Like the security service is done by one company, the cleaning is done by another, selling food is done by another one. The club actually does not employ so many people there, and contractors are usually, like, the club is usually giving these tasks to like third-party contractors. Um, but yeah, like at the same time, the club also has people working there, like the PR section of the club is usually working also around or in the stadium and stuff like this. So yeah, I think it depends, but I will say that the club actually employs the least people there.
And who builds a stadium?
The stadium is usually built, let's say, with the money from the club that is given obviously to construction companies. And usually there is also some help from the city or from other like sponsors, like to have the money to build that, because usually football clubs are not so financially liquid to just build a new stadium. Um, and most often the stadiums are actually in Romania, for example, usually after 5 years. In Germany, they are also often built directly by the city and then just used by the club. So the club is renting the stadium from the city. In Romania, from what I know, stadiums are also built by the club, but then after 5 years come into the hand of the city. So it's like some sort of give and take somehow. And most of the football stadiums are either in long term or from the beginning actually owned by the city or something, although they are not built by the city or the municipality or something. So yeah.
And why would an entrepreneur invest in a stadium or in a club?
That is actually also a good question. I think in a stadium, to invest in a stadium is makes more sense because you get a lot of capital out of the stadium with like employing people. You have a lot of advertisement that's seen by a lot of people. With a club, it is more difficult, especially because usually football clubs are, let's say, loss investments. I don't know, like most of the people who own football clubs put much more money in the club than they get out of it, and it's just like a personal project most of the time, especially outside of Romania. In Romania, I do not have like numbers available to say how worth it is to invest in a football club, but because football is such a non-predictable field, I cannot imagine that investing in such a football club is very like very worth the investment. But yeah, like I think the main things why someone would invest in a football club is advertisement, status, also some sort of credibility, maybe. Like if you can say you own a football club, that's kind of good, I think, for you in the like field of other entrepreneurs. So yeah, it's difficult.
There is this saying, stadiums are the cathedrals, meaning that football stadiums today replaced the old cathedrals. Should we expect football matches to take place soon in the People's Salvation Cathedral in Bucharest? What do you think?
Um, I don't think so, but also because I don't agree with the like new cathedral thing, because I think football is much less a religion than it is some sort of like nationalism, I would say. It's more comparable with that. And there's more national pride than religious pride involved in football. Um, but I think what we can or will see, especially with people like Gigi Becali, who are extremely like religious, that maybe instead of having football matches in a cathedral, we have like ceremonies and services in the football in the football stadium, because yeah, like you have a great audience there, and a football stadium is a very good place to propagate your belief, no matter if it's religious or political or whatever.
Anton, it was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you too.